On Monday, Skerritt and his running mate, CWI Vice President Dr. Kishore Shallow, officially announced their re-election bid. One of the biggest hurdles to small nations like CWI are finances, and often a lack thereof. In an interview with ESPN Cricinfo, Skerritt revealed when he ended Dave Cameron's six-year term as president, he inherited an organization filled with chaos and confusion, and burdened by such debt that he says it could not meet most of our obligations. But in his 2-year stint, he insists his regime has helped CWI onto the right tracks. Open quote. "We were facing serious cash flow problems from the very beginning," Skerritt told ESPN Cricinfo. "So I regret that there were many people who we couldn't pay when the time was there to pay. There were many trade payables that we had to re-engage on. Unfortunately, the goodwill with our creditors has been so good that we haven't had any untoward repercussions." He added, "But it is not pleasant when you take over an organization that can't pay its bills. Players had not been paid their basic salaries, and in several cases, they match fees for months." End quote. However, Sanasie, a director at CWI who sits on the current Chief Executives Committee, which is chaired by Chief Executive Officer Johnny Grave, while Ghana Cricket Board Treasurer Anand Sanasie sits on the CWI Finance Committee, indicated at a recent press briefing that the decisions taken by this administration are not wise.
But over the past 2 years, I felt that the organization itself became too centralized in Antigua to the detriment of the territorial boards, who are the shareholders. I do not think that recent business decisions taken were the wise ones, or wise ones to take us forward. I'm not seeing new revenue streams being established that can really take us out of the hole that we were in.
Skerritt in the interview went on to say, open quote, "The biggest problem we're facing is all of our future cash was spoken for before we even got it. We were living on borrowed future income. So we had close to 20 million in institutional debt, and we were borrowing to pay back lenders." End quote. He added, "So we've cut our debt down by at least a third now after less than 2 years. And with some difficulty, we have improved our ability to meet our obligations. We just could not meet most of our obligations." End quote. According to Sanasie, the act to pay out an unsecured loan was not most feasible by CWI at the time.
When the new president came in, we had forecasted that we would have had a bad year. That is without considering the COVID situation. But we had cash in the bank. And we came out of that year doing well. We had like $11 million in the bank, give or take. One of the first decisions taken by the new administration was to pay out a $10 million unsecured loan that the organization had. Now, in no business would you not try to negotiate that and not have to pay out that amount of cash, and thereby putting the organization in a cash crunch. And then you now have to go running around to borrow to fill the gaps. These are only some of the things I'm mentioning, but I think what I can bring is a business perspective to the organization. I believe in investing at grassroots level, so that you won't see the result of any action I would take overnight or in 2 years in a term. But I think we need to make tough, unpopular decisions.
CWI in May 2020 had temporarily slashed salaries for funding across the entire regional cricket system by 50%. The salary cuts in July was a result of the debilitating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has left the board facing a major loss of income in the absence of regular cricketing activities. According to Sanasie, COVID-19 saved Cricket West Indies since the pandemic meant they did not host several tournaments, neither non-lucrative home tours last year. The election takes place on March 28. Skerritt won 8-4 in 2019. For the newsroom, Akim Green.